Friends, I am Professor Satish Prakash Shukla. I am with you again with 20 new MCQs which are based on research aptitude and likely to be asked in different competitive examination in which research is a part of entire syllabus. Uh, this is ninth video of research aptitude in English. Question number 161 to 180 are discussed here with their answers. Hope it will be useful to you. Let us start with the question. Question number 161. Internal reliability in qualitative research design refers to, let us see the options, information selection. Number 2, inter-observer reliability. Number 3, extent to which the result approximate the reality. Number 4, accuracy of measures. Friends, internal reliability in qualitative research design refers to inter-observer reliability. Option number 2 is correct. Question 162. In a normal distribution of scores, the percentile rank of a student scoring at 1 sigma is, friends, here normal distribution is given and 1 sigma is given. The score of the student is at 1 sigma in normal probability curve. And we have to find this percentile rank. Options are 34th, 60th, 84th, and 75th. The correct option is 84th. How? Let us see. Normal probability curve is given. That's why we have to see at normal probability curve. And at the middle of the normal probability curve, there is a perpendicular line that belongs to mean. And 1 sigma is positive, so it will be at the right side of the perpendicular line, or right side of the mean. 1 sigma, and we know that the area between mean and 1 sigma is 0.3413. In terms of percentage it is 34%, and we also know that the 50% of total observations are lying at the left side of the perpendicular line here. So total 84% of the observations are having less marks than the student who is scoring at 1 sigma, and that 84 is the percentile of the rank that of the student who is scoring at 1 sigma. So correct option is 84th, option number 3. Question number 163. Regarding a research hypothesis, which of the following combinations is not correct? Research hypothesis, let us see. Uh, Number 1 is given, research hypothesis is more specific than a problem statement. It is true. Second is given, is supported or not supported by theory. It is false. It is always supported by theory. Number 3 is a statement including the participants of the study. Yes, we have to show the participant in the research hypothesis. It is true. Number 4 relates variables that can be measured, manipulated, or categorized. It is also true. In hypothesis, everything is shown. And number 5 is the same as a statistical hypothesis. It is false. It is not the same as the statistical hypothesis. It means statement number 2 and 5 are wrong. Let us see the option 1 and 2, 2 and 5, 3 and 5, 4 and 2. So the correct answer is option number 2, 2 and 5. These two statements, combination of these two statements is false in terms of research hypothesis. Question number 164. The phi coefficient is related to tetrachoric R-tet in the same manner as point biserial is related to, let us see the options, contingency coefficient, biserial, number 3 product moment, number 4 eta coefficient. Friends, correlation coefficient is discussed here, and phi coefficient and tetrachoric correlation coefficient can be found only if both the variables are found dichotomous and data related to both the variables are obtained in nominal scale. These are the similarity in phi coefficient and tetrachoric. In the same manner, point biserial correlation coefficient can be calculated only if one out of two variables is continuous and data regarding that variable is obtained in interval or ratio scale, and another variable is dichotomous, and data related to that variable is obtained in nominal scale, and the same thing happens in biserial also. So in terms of the types of variable and types of scales of measurement, point biserial and biserial have similarity. So option number 2 is correct. Point biserial is related with biserial as the phi coefficient is related with tetragonic. Question number 165. In a study, the significance of difference between means was tested through use of a t-test for a large group. The value of t being 2.10. What will be the decision warranted in respect of HO, means null hypothesis? Let us see the option. The HO will be retained. The HO will be rejected at 0.01 level of significance. The HO will be rejected at 0.01 level of significance only. The HO will be rejected at both the levels of significance. Friends, here t value is given 2.10 and large sample is there. According to t table value, t table, if large sample is there, then required t ratio is 2.58 for the significance at 0.01 level. Required t value according to t table is 1.96 for significance at 0.05 level. Here obtained value is less than 2.58 and more than 2.10. So the null hypothesis will be rejected at 0.05 level of significance only. Option number 3 is correct. Question 166. For use of a non-parametric test like the chi-square, which of the following assumptions has to be satisfied? Assumptions for non-parametric test. The number 1, the data should arise from interval measures. It is impossible. If interval measures is there, then parametric test can also be used. The distribution has to be normal. It is not a condition for non-parametric. No assumption about the nature of distribution is required. That is true. No assumption about the nature of distribution or symmetry or normality of distribution is required. Option number 3 is correct. Let us see fourth. The variables under reference must be dichotomous. It is also not necessary. If dichotomous variable are not there, then also chi-square can be calculated. So option number 3 is correct. Question number 167. A researcher finds out the relationship between three variables, such as academic achievement, intelligence, and socio-economic status of children using Pearson's product moment R. As per objective of his her study, the relationship between academic achievement and intelligence is also to be estimated by controlling the influence of socio-economic status. Which statistical technique will be appropriate in this context? Try to understand here three variables are there: achievement, intelligence, and socio-economic status. And correlation among these three is found by using Pearson's product moment method. Now, researcher wants to control the influence of socio-economic status and wants to find the relationship between academic achievement and intelligence. Then which method he has to apply? Let us see. What should he do? He should find, number one option is finding out multiple correlation. Number two, finding out correlation ratio. Number three, estimating contingency coefficient via chi-square. Number four, finding out partial correlation. Friends, in the given situation, if this situation is there, in which one variable is controlled and relationship between other two variables is to be found, then partial correlation coefficient is found out. So option number 4 is correct. Question 168. For computation of f value in one-way ANOVA, what is the final procedural step? Let us see the option: finding out the within sum of squares, finding out the between sum of squares, finding out the ratio of within and between sum of squares. Number 4, finding out the ratio of between and within variance. Friends, for computation of f value, the final step is that is given in step number option number 3, finding out the ratio of within and between sum of squares. Option number 3 is correct. Question number 169. In a study regarding two types of video games and their relation to play-away method of teaching, four types of conclusions can be arrived at, as listed below. Identify which of the statements can be treated as type 2 error. Number 1. Deciding the two types of video games are not related to play-away method of teaching, and they really are not. Here no mistake is made, so no error is there. Number 2, deciding the two types of video games are related to play-away method of teaching, and they really are not. Actually here relationship is not there, still it is accepted, so it is type 1 error. Number 3, deciding the two types of video games are related to play-away method of teaching, and they really are. Here no mistake is there, so no error is there. Number 4, deciding the two types of video games are not related to play-away method of teaching, and they really are. Here relationship is there still. It is not accepted, relationship is not accepted, and hypothesis is not rejected, so it is type 2 error in option number 4. So option number 4 is correct. Question 170. In a study, a researcher wants to eliminate the effect of one variable in a bid to find out the pure relationship between two variables of his or her interest. She should be advised to use which of the following methods of computing coefficient of correlation? Number 1, multiple correlation. Number 2, point biserial correlation. Number 3, contingency coefficient via chi-square. Number 4, partial correlation. We have discussed this type of the example earlier in this video only. Here three variables are there and one is to be controlled, and relationship between two others is to be found. In such situation, partial correlation coefficient is calculated, so option number 4 is correct. If one variable is to be controlled and relationship between two variables is to be found out, then partial correlation coefficient is calculated. Question number 171. In rejecting a null hypothesis HO, a researcher is likely to commit which type of error? Let us see the options. Number 1, type 1 error. Number 2, type 2 error. Number 3, both type 1 and 2 errors. Number 4, neither type 1 nor type 2 errors. Friends, if the hypothesis is true and it is rejected, then type 1 error will occur. And here the tendency of researcher is to reject the hypothesis. So it may be possible that he will commit type 1 error. Option number 1, type 1 error. Question 172. In meta-analysis of literature, reviews are narrative synthesis of prior research, can be applied in every study, require little or no researcher decisions in the process, consider in average statistical terms of results of prior research. Friends, reviews are narrative synthesis of prior research, that is true. Meta-analysis of literature. Reviews are narrative synthesis of prior research. Question 173. Which of the following will be standard error of mean when standard deviation is 8 and n is 100? Let us see the option: 8, 0.8, 0.08 and 0.008. The correct answer is 0.8. How? Let us see. This is the formula of standard error of mean, that is SD upon under root n. SD means standard deviation, that is given here 8 and n is 100. By putting this value, we will get 0.8 in this way. So correct response is 0.8, option number 2. Question 174. Standard deviation of a sampling distribution of statistic is termed as sampling distribution. Standard variance, sampling variance, sampling error, and standard error. Friends, here different samples, sampling distribution means the measurement taken from different samples of the same population, and standard deviation of that particular measurement which are obtained from different samples is found out, and it is called, this standard deviation is called standard error of that measurement. If means of different samples are taken from the same population, then it will be the standard error of mean. Question number 175. For conducting action research, reviewing of related literature is done to, means while the related literature is reviewed while conducting action research. Number 1, classify the design of the study. It is not required here because design of study is already decided. It is action research. Ascertain the quantitative or qualitative nature of the situation. It is also not required here. Ensure the contribution of the study of existing literature. No need. Identify the effective ideas and practices. It is true. To find out the solution of the problem, to identify the effective ideas and practices, the related literature is reviewed. So option number 4 is correct. To identify the effective ideas and practices to solve the problems. Question number 176. The standard error of mean A has a greater value than individual scores. B decreases with increase in sample size. C is less for samples drawn from heterogeneous group. Options: A only, B only, third A and B only, fourth A and C only. We have to find, we have to decide whether which of these three statements is correct. Let us see first one. Standard error of mean has a greater value than individual scores. It is impossible. It is always less than individual scores. Second one is standard error of mean decreases with increase in sample size. Yes, it is true. Third one is the standard error of mean is less for the samples drawn from heterogeneous group. It is false. If heterogeneous group is there, then standard error will be more because it depends upon standard deviation and number of size. So correct option is B only. How? See the formula of standard error, that is standard deviation upon square root n. If size of sample will increase, then the value of denominator will be increased, and in that case the division ratio between these two will be less. So B is correct. The standard error of mean decreases with increase in sample size. Question number 177. A secondary source of particular historical research. Secondary source. Number 1 will always be secondary source for all the historical research. It is false. Will always be primary source for all the historical research. It is also false. C may be a primary source for another historical research. Yes, it is true. Cannot be used as source for another historical research. It is false. So again, question is a secondary source of particular historical research, and option correct is maybe primary source for another historical research. Option number 3. Question 178. Which of the following best illustrates an example of mixed method of research study? Mixed method of research study. Number 1 example is given. Research conducts interviews and observations in a study of transitional study. Here, in both the cases, qualitative data are obtained. Viral interviews parents and their children regarding transition. Here only qualitative data are obtained. Jyoti looks at the percentage of successful transition from the districts and class grades. Percentage and class grades both are quantitative. And here number 4, Viral conducts behavior, observations and some supplements or findings with class grades. Here observations are qualitative data and class grades are quantitative. So it is mixed method. Let us see question again. Which of the following best illustrates an example of a mixed method research study? The correct answer is Viral conducts observations, that is qualitative, and supplements or findings with class grades, it is quantitative. So mixed method is there in fourth option. Option number 4 is correct. Question 179. The procedure of assigning numbers to various degrees of opinions, attitude, and other concepts is called. Degrees of opinion, attitude, and other concept. What it is called? Number 1, regression. Number 2, scaling. Number 3, variance. Number 4, concordance. Friends, it is scaling. We use attitude scale in which the numbers are assigned to various degrees of opinions or attitudes on the basis of the degrees of attitude. So it is scaling. Question number 180. Last of this video. Match list 1 with list 2. In list 1, 4 situations are given in terms of the population mean and hypothesized mean. In A, HO null hypothesis, in terms of that, it is said that population mean is equal to hypothesized mean, that is mu HO equals to 100. In B, in terms of alternate hypothesis HA, it is assumed that mu, population mean, is not equal to mu, hypothesized mean. In C, in terms of alternate hypothesis, it is assumed that mu means population mean is greater than hypothesized mean. And in D, in terms of alternate hypothesis, it is assumed that mu population mean is smaller than hypothesized mean. These 4 situations are given in list 1, and in list 2 the interpretation of the same are given. Already we have interpreted it. Here you have to remember that the hypothesized mean is 100. And in first situation, in terms of null hypothesis, the assumption is given. And in B, C, and D of list 1, in terms of alternate hypothesis, assumption for population mean is made. We have to match list 1 and list 2. For each situation of list 1, we have to find the interpretation in list 2, and we have already interpreted it. So let us see the option. Option 4 is correct, and according to that, A of list 1, where in terms of HO, null hypothesis, the assumption for population mean is given, where it is said that mu means population mean is equal to mu HO means hypothesized mean is equal to 100. This is given in third of list 2, null hypothesis that the population mean is equal to the hypothesized mean 100. And in B of list 1, it is given in terms of alternate hypothesis because HA is written there, and their assumption is made that mu is not equal to mu HO. So alternate hypothesis that the population mean is not equal to 100. 100 is our hypothesized mean. And in C of list 1, in terms of alternate hypothesis HA, the assumption is made in terms of population mean mu, that is greater than mu HO. Means population mean is greater than hypothesized mean. So that is given in second number of list 2. And here the pair is made. Alternate hypothesis that the population mean is greater than 100. And in D of list 1, the situation is given in terms of alternate hypothesis, where it is said that mu means population mean smaller than hypothesized mean, that is 100. So this is given in fourth number of list 2, and here it is paired. So alternate hypothesis is that the population mean is less than 100. This is the interpretation of D in list 2. So in this way, the fourth option will be correct, where A of list 1 is paired with 3 of list 2, B of list A is paired with first of list 2, C of list A is paired with second of list 2, and D is paired with fourth of list 2. Friends, here the part 9 of research aptitude in English gets over here. 10th will be presented soon. Till then, you continue reading supplementary material. Thank you. Goodbye.